What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video here on the channel or on Facebook, wherever you are watching. This one is going to be value packed. Right now, this video is going to apply if you're a coach, consultant, an agency owner, anybody who needs to have attention and an audience to sell your offers, products, and services to. Right? Let's dive into it. So, what is the main KPI you want versus the KPI you need within your business? If you don't already know what KPI means key performance indicator. All right. So the main KPI we all want is obviously we want clients, we want revenue, we want profit, we want money, right? That is how we want to look at our business, right? Money, profits, all that beautiful stuff, all right? However, in order to achieve that, we need to focus on the KPI that we need, all right? Not what we want, what we need, all right? In fact, this is the KPI that is the one and will be your only main bottleneck, really, okay? And achieving the KPIs that you want, right? The KPI we all need is number of booked calls and meetings, all right? Now, depending on what you're doing, but if you're a coach, consultant, it's going to come down to, or an agency owner, it's going to come down to the performance of your ads in order to get booked calls and booked meetings. Is going to come down to the performance of your appointment setters, your VAs, in order to book meetings and appointments, right? Sales opportunities for you. Right? That is obviously right, because without meetings, well, that is obvious, right? Okay. Because without meetings and booked calls, we won't get more clients, profits, etc. All right? Those are also the KPIs that create the biggest gap between those who succeed and fail in the coaching space or agency space, whatever. Right? Now, there are many organic strategies on how to post content, prospect, and book meetings, etc. But none of those will work unless you have the audience and attention to do so, right? I made a few videos about this. Okay, it will always come down to your audience and your ability to harness and leverage attention. All right? Because if you really think about it, you could have the best service in the world, the best messaging, the best client results, the best offer, whatever. But if you're not able to have traffic, to have lead flow, right? If you're not able to grab attention and eyeballs, right? Turn them into an audience where then you could turn that audience into booked calls, into meetings, into sales for your digital product, into sales for your physical product, into sales for your courses, into sales into your mentorship, right? You will not be able to hit the KPI that you want, which is client revenue profits, to have the impact and to scale and grow your business, right? So you have two options, really, right? Either have a super solid outbound prospecting structure with team members to just reach the bare minimum volume requirements to book meetings, because it does become a little bit of a numbers game. All right. People have super high expectations of where they want to go, but have super low expectations about the amount of work needed to actually achieve there. All right. This is not like coaching and consulting 2 years ago. All right. It's not that you send 30 messages a day or 20 emails a day and you're going to book meetings, right? The market has changed. The market is more numb to these processes, all right? So you either have to do it with a unique mechanism or in a unique way, or just quite literally take it for black and white, volume, okay? Volume negates luck, as Alex Ramosi says, all right? Or you go and build an audience so that you not only get inbound leads, but so that you also can prospect to a much warmer audience, which increases your probability of converting someone to a booked meeting. All right. Now, when you have both audience and attention and a structure to convert into booked calls and meetings or even sales, right, depending, that's when both work in tandem and you have really the best of both worlds. Okay. You need meetings, though, so that you have the opportunities to sell and serve, provide, transform, and impact to your audience with your offers, from your first client to your 100th when you scale your business. All right. Now, understand, really think about this again. Why is it that so many coaches and consultants have trouble? It is simply because they're not able to harness attention or have a big enough audience, right? Their presence is almost obscure to the marketplace. They're not able to break through within the marketplace. Okay, which does not allow them to have booked meetings, consistent meetings, which will not give them a predictable system to have clients and then scale your business, right? Because at the end of the day, it all will come down to the amount of booked meetings you have, right? And appointments, which then ideally, if you're good at closing, right, or depending on how good you are at closing, turns into actual clients, all right? But it's the same with almost email outreach. You could have the most beautiful offer, service, product, messaging. If that person will not open your email, none of it matters. The same thing here, okay? If you do not have attention and audience, traffic, lead flow, none of it matters. You could have the best personal branding, the most nicest website, offers, etc. Nobody will see it, and nobody will even have you won't even have that point of contact to even provide or even talk about or even show your offers or show the transformation that you could provide or show the results that you could provide. Right? So it's either you really scale outbound and have a team that goes out there and really prospects, right? Or you build an audience. Okay? And that comes down to personal branding, depending on what social media platform you use. In my opinion, right now, TikTok is one of the best platforms where you can really harness attention, lead flow, and just eyeballs that you could then turn into an audience. They can then convert into through client acquisition to, booked meetings, clients, etc. All right, but like really think about this. This is why you see so many people offering appointment setting offers. Or you probably get messages about people saying that they're going to work on a performance base to book you meetings, right? Because if you don't have meetings, if you don't have the opportunities and the interactions to provide or to even present your offers, your products, then none of it matters. And you will never be able to close clients. You will never be able to scale and grow, all right? That is the biggest bottleneck when it comes down to client acquisition. Because there are coaches who are really good at their skill. They are really good at their craft. They could provide amazing results. But they simply don't have the omnipresence, the presence. They have obscurity within the marketplace, and they are not able to have the impact that they want. Okay? So the KPI we all want is obviously clients, revenue, profits, and money. But what we need is to have attention, an audience, right? Traffic, okay? Lead flow, okay? That we take through our client acquisition process to then convert that traffic, attention, audience, okay? However you want to look at it, into booked meetings, into sales calls, into discovery calls, all right? Where then you can convert those people into customers, whether that be for coaching, mentorship, services, physical products, digital products, whatever it may be, okay? But it's the top of funnel stuff, right? You will never get to the bottom of the funnel, which is clients, sales, money, if you do not have the top of funnel, okay? The top of funnel is attention, audience, traffic, lead flow, right? And that is why there's so many things about organic marketing, paid marketing, and then within paid marketing, there's so many different tactics and methods you could do for paid, and then within organic, right? But what is the main purpose of that? The main purpose of organic marketing, paid marketing, what is the main purpose of that? It's to capture and harness attention, all right, to get the end result then, which is either booked meetings or sales, customers, clients, all right? Internalize that, think about it. The main KPI you want is the KPI that you need within your business to have your first client, your 100th client, to scale, etc. Okay? I hope you guys found value in this video. Like, comment, subscribe, share, send to if anything might find value in it. Save this video for later, and I'll see you guys in the next video.